Congratulations, publisher of the Batavian here with another live stream interview. Trying to keep you up to date with things going on in our community in these pandemic times. So today we're going to be talking to Chief Stefano Napolitano, Chief of the City of Batavia Fire Department. We're just going to catch up with what's been going on over at City Fire. So, Chief, how you doing?
I'm good, Howard. It's good to be with you. I appreciate the opportunity. It's always good to talk with you.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time. So we're kind of at that right around that year mark since the pandemic started. Just kind of give us an overview of how 2020 coming into 2021 has been for the department.
All right. Well, I guess we'll start off with 2020. For City Fire, 2020 was very similar to every other public safety agency, and I think business, in the fact that the goalposts moved all over the football field. It was never in one set location. The pandemic was obviously something relatively new for us here at City Fire, although we did have plans in place for different variations of a pandemic, a communicable disease policy, a little civil unrest policy, but then you couple that all together with a full-blown pandemic. We were writing the playbook as we were going along in 2020. We had some highs, we had some lows. We had several of our staff members become COVID positive. We had to learn how to deal with that. We had to learn how to deal with the customers that we serve that were either PUIs, or person under the investigation, or a full-blown COVID certified patient. So we had to learn. We modified, we morphed, we transitioned, adapted, whatever adjective that you want to use out there, because our customer service delivery didn't change. We became better as a department for going through what we're going through, and we I guess the best way to say it, our responsibilities to our customers, the citizens of our cities, those that travel through our city, work in our city, recreate in our city, we were able to meet the service delivery demands, albeit different. We put out a number of PSAs on our Facebook page in regards to what our staff members may look like when they come to your residence, with more enhanced personal protective equipment, more of an interview process, trying to eliminate extra people at the residence to reduce the number of points of contact, things of that nature. So it's been a challenging year for us, to say the least, as compared to, as it is for all other fire departments in the world. So I think we did well. It's a tribute to my staff, my fire officers, and the everyday boot on the ground firefighter. They embraced it. They knew they had an obligation, and they did it, and they did it well, and they continue to do it well. We saw about a 5% decrease in overall calls for us in 2020, and that was attributed to the first two quarters, as we were learning how to manage the pandemic from a service delivery standpoint. We had people that weren't calling us because they didn't want interaction with fire or medical personnel. At the same time, we were trying to determine, is a response needed from us. The third thing was amount of latchkey type situations was greatly reduced because of parents being home, a lot of people working from home, so a lot of incidences where things may happen while no one was at the residence unattended, because of the amount of people that were home and still remain home. Our call volume was down by 5%. Although the month of January and February are trending higher, back to normal numbers. Actually, a slight increase. So,
What was the most significant adjustment you had to make to all this?
the most significant adjustment is actually twofold. Is our level of PPE and our response procedures out with the public, as well as in the fire station. We're wearing masks constantly inside the facility. Um, we always did a really great job of cleaning, disinfecting equipment, apparatus, ourselves. Uh, but it is daily, deep cleaning schedules, wearing a face covering all the time. Other than when you're, like, for instance, in my office, if I'm by myself, I'm not near anyone and not wearing a face covering. Very similar to the public being out, at a grocery store wearing a face covering. So, enhancing our level of PPE and trying to ensure our customers that we're still going to be there for you, except our appearance is a little bit different. As compared to wearing, gloves and a face covering, depending on the type of call or the nature of the call, eye protection, face covering, gloves, a gown, and that when a person's in distress, layers of PPE can scare them a bit. So those were the two biggest challenging things I think for my staffing. For me, um, was to ensure that my staffing is safe, that we're following the ever-changing CDC, Department of Health, State Department of Health, the governor's orders, local Department of Health protocols. As you know, they change pretty. They're pretty fluid, and they change very often. So we try and, as the administrator of the department, to try to stay abreast of those and keep my people safe has been my personal challenge. Um, you sleep with one eye open, if you know what I mean, because you're always worried about your staffing. We're a small enough department that we started getting a bunch of people sick. That could impact our ability to deliver our service delivery model, and working with other departments in the county, out of the county to provide staffing if need be. A lot of planning, a lot of logistics. But again, we've been successful, and I'm knocking on my desk right now because we're definitely not out of it. The numbers are trending in the right direction, but we saw that over the summer. So it is a moving target. Um, so
Well, so I imagine. Well, one thing I think about with your department, I mean, your guys kind of work in close quarters. There's sleeping arrangements, and it must have been challenging to manage the contacts among your staff in a way that keeps them and their families safe.
Well, yes and no. So yes, it can be challenging. Um, However, we implemented a number of interim directives. My fire officer staffing was really good about interacting and educating our rank and file as to the PPE, separation, social distancing, face covering, things of that nature. And to be honest with you, the rank and file came back with a number of suggestions and ideas. We're a very collaborative fire department here. Just because I'm the chief does not mean I know everything, not by any stretch of the imagination. So working with my fire officers, taking the thoughts and the ideas from the firefighters, we were able to collaborate and work well to develop policies and procedures and directives in order to keep them isolated, but being able to work collaboratively and integrate together while reducing our levels of exposure. Um, Conversely, it's a challenge at times, because not only do I worry about my firefighters, I worry about them bringing something home to their families. So we try to make sure that uniform changes, everything is done here. Anything that relates to their clothing, their PPE, everything stays in house. So yeah, it was not, I'm not gonna say easy. We were able to do it, but yeah, it's still a challenge because we do worry about wives and girlfriends and husbands and boyfriends and daughters and sons and moms and dads. And I have an 87-year-old father that I work very hard to uh, protect him from me, which is really awkward to say that.
I can imagine. I imagine that's very important to you too. So you mentioned that you did have some positive tests, and a lot of times that necessitates, people who came in contact going into quarantine. Did you have those situations? Were there any times where you found you were short of staff or in danger of being short of staff on a particular shift or overall?
Fortunately, no. Our scheduling model allows us to move some people around if necessary. Um, Plus, uh, it's not very much. It wasn't. It's not much different than if a person's using some PTO time. We can backfill the station as need be, and we're very fortunate that the the issues that we had we were able to manage with the staffing that we had. For instance, I was under quarantine for 14 days myself. But because we're essential employees, as long as we're asymptomatic, we're able to come to work and back to our residence. Uh, and I could tell you firsthand for 14 days to go from my home to work and not go to the grocery store, it was quite challenging, and you don't realize the liberties and freedoms that you have, the basic liberties and freedoms that you have of going to the grocery store or going to Dunkin' Donuts or Tim Hortons or going to the post office to go to your P.O. box, you know. So we were able to manage.
I believe most of all your guys are been eligible for vaccination. How has that been going?
It's very good. We have a very favorable vaccination rate at this time. Um, we have some that have elected not to be vaccinated, and that's their personal choice and personal opinion. Um, but we have a more than 50%, actually more than 60% of the department has been vaccinated.
Well, that's great. So, shifting gears a little bit, looking forward to 2021, kind of what's on the calendar? I know you're always doing a lot of training. What are the priorities for the coming year?
I'm glad you asked me that question because, yeah, training. We've been in I don't want to say been in a, we continue to do our mandatory training that's required at state and federal levels. But some of the ancillary specialized training we haven't been able to do and send guys to the fire academy or other locations. We still do our in-house ice water training, our swift water training, our EMT training. Uh, each guy is required to do 100 hours. We exceed that actually every year for requisite continuing ed. This year we got a couple great things. We were just gifted a new a school bus, and we're setting up a bus extrication class for the firefighters. I was able, along with the assistance of Captain Fix and some other fire officers, we secured $20,000 in grants for training to do surface water rescue, basic boat operators courses, things of that nature. We're going to be doing that up at the Niagara River. Um, let's see what other really cool training. We're hoping to get back down to the State Preparedness Training Center in Oriskany, where we can practice flooding, streetscape, which is part of our community rating system program for first responders to enter into flooded areas, flooded homes, flooded downtowns, things of that nature. So we've got some pretty cool training coming up on the horizon, number one. We're looking at our goals and expectations for 2021, all four platoons. Um, we've done a good job with COVID, uh, managing the fire department, but it's time to get past COVID and get back to finding out what the community needs. We constantly try to assess that. We're probably going to be putting a community survey out, asking, what do you want from the fire department? What do you like from that you get from the fire department? What don't you like? So we can, the community is constantly changing. Our demographics change, and we want to make sure we're targeting all that. We have an upcoming civil service exam for firefighters. The cutoff date is March 24th. So if you're interested in becoming a City of Batavia firefighter, reach out to the Genesee County Civil Service Department on their website. There's a test announcement. The test is May 1st or 2nd. We're not sure what the date is. They're going to determine that. So we have that on the horizon. And we're just really looking forward to getting back to the new normal that's going to be out there.
So one of the things I wanted to ask you, you mentioned the civil service test. I was going to ask you, how are you on staffing, any current openings, and any anticipated retirements?
Yes, we have one current opening right now. We anticipate a retirement late summer, early fall. And with the upcoming budget, we have additional 3 positions open that we're temporarily freezing because of the budget right now. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. I'm anticipating some revenue from the state and the federal government, although my anticipation is strictly speculative at this time. But I'm a glass half full type person, and so we're hoping that we'll be able to fill those as monies become available. But we have one open position and anticipate one retirement later this year.
And sort of related subject, resources, and we're kind of looking at, forward to the year and year review sort of stuff. How's your equipment doing? Any anticipated new equipment purchases? Anything along those lines?
So you want me to be honest with you?
Of course.
3 new fire trucks coming. I wish. No, I'm just being tongue in cheek. Our equipment is in decent condition. We definitely are in need of a new engine. Our second new engine is 20 years old now. She's a workhorse. But we were very fortunate and blessed by the City of Batavia Bureau of Maintenance. Scott Allen, the supervisor, and the other mechanics, Craig, Ron, and oh my God, I'm going to forget somebody. Craig, Ron. Oh, I'm forgetting somebody. This is terrible. They keep us operational. Mark's his name. The other mechanic. They keep us operational on a daily basis. So our equipment is in good condition. Ideally, we've delayed some purchasing, and we look forward to updating as we can. We continue to seek out grant funds for updating equipment, but the equipment's holding out. The guys do a great job here of maintaining it, using it appropriately, following manufacturer's recommendations. And then a big shout out to the Bureau of Maintenance for keeping us operational fleet-wise, and some of the other stuff they help us do.
That's great, Chief. Is there? We've covered a lot of ground, and we're at about 20 minutes. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
No, not really. I guess this is a great opportunity to say thank you. It is true, when things get tough, people get together, and the number of cards, texts, emails, donations of goodies and gift cards, and people purchasing a meal or something for the firefighters has been completely overwhelming. And I can assure you that every member of this department truly appreciates the generosity, the sincerity offered to us, and the support. Sometimes just a quick email. Hey, you guys are doing a great job during this pandemic. You guys are rock stars, or you guys are outstanding. Thank you for what you did. You came and it's just really overwhelming. And I want to just pass that on from myself and my staff that we appreciate everyone that supports us. And, that includes people like you, Howard. You're very good to us. And the fact that when I need to put a message out there, a media release, or I have an event that I need to advertise, you are a component of our community risk reduction program, getting that message out there. So on behalf of myself and my staff, thank you and everyone else that supports City Fire.
Well, it's very kind of you, Chief, and of course, great admiration for you and all your staff. As you know, I know many of them. I've known many of them many years. Great group of people, all very professional, and so appreciate working with you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Chief.
No, thank you, Howard. I appreciate it. Be well. I look forward to. Unfortunately, you and I, we don't get together on a lot of positive. It's always when there's a car crash, there's a fire, or something that's going on. So this is a nice change to get together with you in a non-emergent environment.
Well, that's been particularly true this year. That I don't get to just stop by your headquarters anymore. That we can only just run into each other out at accident scenes like we did the other day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's always a pleasure to see you, Chief. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So this is Howard Owens, publisher of the Batavian, and we're signing off another live stream interview. And